In this video, you will learn about the ESF Plus Social Innovation Plus Initiative's funding scheme and the lump sum funding applicable to its projects. The aim of the ESF Plus Social Innovation Plus Initiative is to support transnational cooperation to accelerate the transfer of and to facilitate the scaling up of innovative solutions in policy areas set out in Article 4 of the ESF Plus regulation, such as employment, skills, and social inclusion across Europe. The initiative is implemented under the Employment and Social Innovation strand of the ESF Plus, under the Indirect Management mode, which means that European Commission has chosen an entrusted entity to implement it. The ESF Plus Social Innovation Plus initiative uses lump sum funding. This funding model has several advantages. First of all, this model of funding is more focused on content. There is less need to focus on financial management and more on the content of projects, quality monitoring, dissemination and exploitation of project results. It is result-oriented. Lump sum funding also provides significant simplification. Lump sum funding makes application process easier, especially for small organizations and newcomers, increasing access to finance and making programs more attractive. Moreover, lump sum funding removes all obligations on actual cost reporting, and ex-post financial audits are normally not carried out. This is a major reduction of administrative burden and administrative costs. It also streamlines the calculation of grant amounts and accelerates the payment process. In addition, lump sum funding also helps to reduce the financial error rate, as it simplifies complex rules for actual costs and helps to prevent financial errors. Lump sum is a form of simplified cost option based on the individual project budget. The main principles of lump sum funding are as follows. Lump sum grants are established ex ante by means of the detailed cost estimates provided in the detailed budget table. Estimates must be reasonable, not excessive, and in line with normal practice. Payments depend on the successful implementation of the work packages. Lump sum funding also eliminates the need for financial checks, reviews, or audits. Considering the lump sum payment scheme, it includes 1 or 2 pre-financing payments and a final payment. There are no interim payments. So, what is the lump sum funding scheme for calls under this initiative? First, the applicant submits a proposal by completing the application form and indicating approximations of the real costs in the detailed budget table. Second, lump sums are established during the assessment of the applications for each grant individually using the lump sum rules. After that, individual lump sums per work package and per beneficiary are fixed in the grant agreement. Finally, at the reporting stage, lump sums are accepted when all the work has been carried out, work packages have been completed, and all deliverables have been reached. Let's take a closer look at each of these steps. The first step in the lump sum funding scheme is the submission of a proposal including the application and the detailed budget table. Please note that the detailed budget table is an Excel file. You must download it from the initiative webpage, fill it in, and submit it as an annex to your application. The detailed budget table must contain realistic cost estimates for each cost category, such as personnel costs, purchase costs, other cost categories eligible for the specific call, per beneficiary and per work package. These cost estimates and the resources the applicant commits to mobilize are the basis for defining and justifying the lump sum. They add up to the total lump sum amount proposed by the applicant. Keep in mind that for this type of lump sum, the cost estimations must be an approximation of your actual costs. They must be in line with the same eligibility rules as for actual cost grants, as set out in the call conditions and in the detailed budget table. In line with the normal practice of the applicant's and co-applicant's entity. Compliant with applicable national and EU law. Reasonable and not excessive. Corresponding to the planned activities and necessary to reach the deliverables and project objectives. The lump sum is an approximation of the beneficiary's underlying actual costs. It is determined individually and ex ante for each grant by the granting authority on the basis of the following principles. In the detailed budget table, the applicant proposes the amount of the lump sum on the basis of their estimated direct and indirect project costs. The detailed budget table must show the costs and cost categories covered by the lump sum. It may contain only eligible costs and must exclude ineligible costs. The eligibility of costs and the categories of costs are set out in the call conditions and in the detailed budget table in the cost eligibility conditions sheet. Applicants must provide in their proposal a breakdown of the lump sum, showing the share and detailed cost estimates per work package and per beneficiary. The flat rate for indirect costs and co-financing rates are included in the calculation of the lump sum and specified in the call conditions. For a more detailed explanation of the contents and how to fill in the detailed budget table, please watch the video tutorial, How to Fill in the Detailed Budget Table. In order to complete the detailed budget table accurately, make sure to read the instructions in the table carefully. Please read the rules of the use of lump sum contributions under ESF Plus Social Innovation Plus Initiative for more details on lump sum funding under the Social Innovation Plus Initiative. They can be found on the initiative's webpage, https://socialinnovationplus.u. Let's move on to the next step in the process of establishing lump sums during the assessment of applications. The quality of the proposal and cost estimates are assessed against the award criteria defined in the call conditions, with the involvement of external experts. This assessment ensures that the cost estimates are reasonable and not excessive, and that the proposed resources allow the activities and expected outputs to be achieved in the most effective way. On the basis of the proposal and its assessment, the granting authority will determine the lump sums of the grant on a case-by-case basis using the detailed budget table. The granting authority may adjust estimated cost items that appear unjustified or not in line with the requirements. If cost items are adjusted, the lump sums and the breakdown of the lump sums will be modified accordingly. The lump sums are established by applying the co-financing rate to the total estimated eligible costs. Grants usually cover 80% of the total project budget. A co-financing of at least 20% must therefore come from sources other than the EU grant budget. Some basic principles apply to the assessment of the application. Any changes affecting the objectives and scope of the project which may violate the principle of equal treatment in relation to other applicants are not possible. Budgetary corrections after assessment may lead to a reduction of the lump sum and/or to a reallocation of costs between the work packages and/or beneficiaries. The total lump sum cannot be increased. Budget deficiencies, such as costs that are obviously too high or too low, unjustified or not related to the objectives or activities, lead to a reduced score under the quality award criterion. Consider possible changes to the budget after proposal assessment. If the application has been selected for project implementation, experts can remove or reduce costs in the detailed budget table if they are ineligible, unjustified, or repeated in error. Experts can request justification for the budget or provide recommendations which will be communicated to the applicant during the preparation of the grant agreement, if the application is selected for project implementation. During this step, the lump sums and their breakdown by beneficiaries and work packages are included in the grant agreement, together with the pre-financing amounts. Once the lump sums are fixed in the grant agreement, the actual costs are not relevant. Finally, the lump sum is accepted when the corresponding work package of the project has been properly and fully implemented in accordance with the grant agreement and provided that all other obligations under the grant agreement have been complied with. A lump sum per work package for which the conditions are not met during a reporting period will not be accepted, but can be accepted in the next reporting period if the conditions are subsequently met. If it is not possible to complete a work package by the end of the project, for example, for technical reasons or due to force majeure, the lump sum is paid partially according to the degree of completion. The decision on the partial amount is taken on a case-by-case basis, considering the comments of the beneficiary. As mentioned earlier, the lump sum funding scheme includes an initial pre-financing, which is provided after the signature of the grant agreement and amounts to 50 to 70% of the lump sum. A second pre-financing, if any, which may be provided after the approval of the first periodic report and may amount to 25 to 30% of a lump sum. A final payment, which is made after approval of the final periodic report. Pre-financing amounts depend on the duration of the project and the financial capacity of the applicant. For projects of up to 12 months, one pre-financing is made, and two pre-financing payments are planned for longer projects. The amounts of the pre-financing will be fixed in the grant agreement. However, the amount of the second pre-financing, if any, will also depend on how much of the previous pre-financing has been used and declared by the beneficiary and approved by the granting authority. The pre-financing used is calculated on the basis of the completed work packages, so we recommend dividing the work packages into reporting periods to ensure the cash flow. Please keep in mind the following information regarding record keeping. Beneficiaries are required to keep, at least until the deadline specified in the grant agreement, records and other supporting documents to demonstrate the proper implementation of the project. This includes ensuring that the work has been carried out and the results achieved are in line with the descriptions outlined in the grant agreement. documenting all activities within the project to ensure compliance with national laws on procurement, recruitment, contracting, tax payments, and other relevant areas. Additionally, the applicant is required to comply with financial record-keeping and other legal obligations beyond the scope of the lump sum grant agreement, if applicable. This may include requirements under national law or internal organizational procedures. To sum up, there are several things to keep in mind when working with lump sums. Following the assessment of the proposal, the lump sum shares are defined per beneficiary and per work package and are fixed in the grant agreement. The lump sum payment scheme under the ESF plus SI plus initiative includes 1 or 2 pre-financing payments and a final payment. There are no interim payments. Focus on project results. There is no need to provide supporting documents for the costs incurred, as the costs incurred are not assessed. The supporting documents must demonstrate that the activities have been carried out and deliverables achieved as set out in the grant agreement. Payments are made on completion of work packages at the end of reporting periods. Thank you for watching.